The Tale of the 47. Ronin. Loyalty, honor, and sacrifice. Picture a snow-covered courtyard in the heart of old Tokyo. The date is January 30th, 1703, and 47 men stand silently in the pre-dawn darkness. Their breath forms clouds in the bitter winter air as they await what they know will be their final sunrise. These men are samurai, or rather they were. Now they are Ronin, masterless warriors who have just completed one of the most extraordinary acts of revenge in human history. But to understand why these men chose to sacrifice everything, their wealth, their families, and ultimately their lives, we must journey back to a spring morning that changed Japan forever. The year is 1701. Cherry blossoms drift through the air in the courtyard of Edo Castle, the seat of power for the Tokugawa shogunate. Lord Asano Naganori, a young daimyo from the distant province of Ako, practices the elaborate movements required for an upcoming ceremony. His instructor is Lord Kira Yoshinaka, the shogun's master of ceremonies, a man known for his arrogance and corruption. For months, Asano has endured Kira's constant insults and demands for bribes. Despite following the strict code of Bushido that demanded patience and restraint, something inside the young lord finally snaps. In a moment that would echo through centuries, Asano draws his short sword and strikes Kira, cutting his face before being restrained. The wound is shallow, but the consequences are catastrophic. Drawing a weapon within Edo Castle is an unforgivable offense. Within hours, Asano is sentenced to commit seppuku ritual suicide. His lands will be confiscated, his family ruined, and his samurai will become Ronin, cast adrift in a society that views masterless warriors with suspicion and contempt. As Asano prepares for his final moments, he speaks words that will haunt his most loyal retainer, Oishi Kuranosuke. I wish I had taken Kira's life, for it is he who has brought me to this end. The day Asano performs seppuku, his samurai face an impossible choice. Bushido, the way of the warrior, demands they avenge their master, yet the shogunate has explicitly forbidden any act of revenge. To disobey means certain death. To comply means living with dishonor. Oishi, now the leader of these masterless samurai, makes a decision that will test the very limits of loyalty and patience. He gathers 46 of his most trusted companions and devises an audacious plan. But this will be no swift revenge. It will require months, even years of careful preparation and unwavering dedication. To throw off suspicion, the 47 Ronin scatter across Japan. Many take up menial jobs as merchants, craftsmen, and laborers. Oishi himself moves to Kyoto, where he begins an elaborate deception that will become legendary. He frequents brothels and taverns, drinking heavily and gambling away his money. When his wife begs him to maintain his dignity, he divorces her. His own teenage son watches in apparent shame as his father staggers drunk through the streets. Word of Oishi's descent into debauchery reaches Kira's spies. One day, a Satsuma samurai encounters the apparently drunk Oishi lying in a gutter. The samurai spits on him, calling him a disgrace to the name of samurai. Oishi does not react. He has become exactly what he appears to be, a broken man who has abandoned all thoughts of revenge. Or so everyone believes. In reality, Oishi's apparent moral collapse is a masterful performance. While he plays the role of a ruined drunk, his agents are secretly mapping every detail of Kira's mansion in Edo. They track the guards' rotations, identify weak points in the defenses, and note which servants might be bribed for information. Other Ronin take jobs as carpenters and laborers, allowing them to enter Kira's compound and study its layout. Some even manage to marry into the households of Kira's neighbors, creating a network of informants that keeps them apprised of their target's every move. For nearly 2 years, they wait. They endure the whispers and contempt of those who believe they have forgotten their duty. They watch as their savings dwindle and their families suffer. Yet still they wait, bound together by an unshakable loyalty to their dead master and to each other. As the second anniversary of Asano's death approaches, the time for waiting is finally over. The 47 Ronin begin to quietly disappear from their assumed lives. One by one, they make their way back to Edo, gathering in secret to prepare for what they know will be their final act. The weapons they have slowly accumulated are distributed. The floor plans of Kira's mansion are reviewed one last time. Each man writes a final letter to his family, knowing that success or failure, they will not survive to see another spring. On the night of December 14th, 1702, snow begins to fall over Edo. The city grows quiet as its inhabitants seek shelter from the cold. But in a small house near Kira's mansion, 47 men prepare for battle, donning their long, unused armor and checking their weapons one final time. These men are no longer the merchants, laborers, and drunks they have pretended to be. Tonight, they will remind Japan what it means to be samurai. The night deepens as the 47 Ronin approach Kira's mansion from different directions. They move silently through the snowy streets, their footsteps muffled by the gathering storm. The mansion looms before them, its high walls casting long shadows in the winter moonlight. Oishi has divided his force into two groups. One will attack the front gate while the other scales the rear wall. But before the assault begins, he gathers his men for a moment that would become legendary. From within his robes, he produces a small drum, the same type used to signal attacks in formal warfare. This is not to be a midnight assassination, but an honorable military operation. At precisely 3:30 a.m., the drum sounds. The front gate assault begins with a powerful war cry that shatters the silence of the snowy night. The guards, startled from their warm posts, rush to defend against what sounds like a full army's attack. Meanwhile, the second group silently scales the rear wall, catching the mansion's defenders in a perfectly executed pincer movement. The fighting is fierce but brief. The Ronin have spent months preparing for this moment, while Kira's guards, grown complacent after 2 years without incident, are caught completely unprepared. Within minutes, the outer defenses are breached. The Ronin pour into the mansion's corridors, their years of suppressed rage finally unleashed. But there is no chaos in their attack. Each man knows his assigned role. Some secure the gates to prevent reinforcements from arriving. Others systematically search every room, following the detailed floor plans they had so painstakingly gathered. They take care to harm only those who resist. Women, children, and servants who surrender are tied up but treated with respect. In the confusion, one of Kira's guards tries to raise the alarm by lighting a fire on the roof. The signal could bring the city's authorities down upon them before their mission is complete. But the Ronin have prepared even for this. They quickly extinguish the flame with water they had strategically positioned days before. As the search continues, tension mounts. Kira is nowhere to be found. Could their intelligence have been wrong? Had their target somehow been warned? The Ronin's entire plan hinges on finding Kira himself. Without his death, their mission would be meaningless. Then, in a small building near the back of the compound, searchers discover a recently disturbed mat on the floor. Beneath it, they find a hidden door leading to a secret courtyard. There, behind a stack of firewood, they discover a man in a simple sleeping robe trying to hide. But this is not the proud, arrogant noble who had tormented their lord. The man before them is trembling, his once fine clothes replaced by simple garments. Yet there's no mistake. A scar on his face confirms his identity. This is Kira Yoshinaka, the man they have waited 2 years to find. Oishi approaches Kira with ceremonial dignity. He kneels before his enemy and speaks words that have been rehearsed countless times. I am Oishi Kuranosuke, former chief retainer of Lord Asano of Akko. We have come to avenge our master. We are not common assassins, but warriors fulfilling our sacred duty. I beg you to die as befits your rank." Oishi presents Kira with the same dagger that Lord Asano had used to commit seppuku. It is an offer to die honorably by his own hand. But Kira, who had always prided himself on his noble status, remains silent, shaking with fear. After waiting for what seems an eternity, Oishi realizes that Kira will not take the honorable path. With deep regret but unwavering resolution, he and another senior retainer perform the grim duty themselves. Using Lord Asano's dagger, they decapitate Kira, finally completing their revenge. But the night's work is not yet done. The Ronin gather in Kira's courtyard, now illuminated by the first hints of dawn. They carefully clean Kira's severed head according to ancient samurai tradition. Then, in a solemn procession that would be remembered for centuries, they march through the streets of Edo to Sengaku-ji Temple, where their master lies buried. The sun is rising as they approach the temple gates. The monks, hearing of their arrival, toll the great bell. The same bell that had announced Lord Asano's death nearly 2 years before. One by one, the 47 Ronin mount the steps to their master's grave. They wash the head of their enemy at a well that still stands today and present it as an offering before Asano's tomb. Their duty is finally complete, but they harbor no illusions about their fate. Already word of their attack is spreading through Edo. The authorities will come for them soon, yet there is no attempt to flee, no desire to escape what must come next. They have fulfilled their obligation to their lord. Now they must face the consequences of their actions. As the temple fills with curious onlookers and government officials, the 47 Ronin calmly sit in rows before their master's grave. They know that by upholding one code, the absolute loyalty demanded by Bushido, they have violated another, the law of the shogunate. Their deaths are certain. The only question is how they will be allowed to die. The shogunate faced an unprecedented dilemma. The 47 Ronin had clearly broken the law, yet they had followed Bushido to the letter, demonstrating the absolute loyalty that formed the foundation of samurai culture. The debate over their fate split Japanese society. Some officials argued for immediate execution, while others called for complete pardon. The controversy reached the highest levels of government, forcing the shogun to consider a crucial question. In a society built on both law and honor, which should take precedence? For weeks, the Ronin remained under house arrest as arguments raged. They spent their time writing letters and composing death poems. Not one attempted escape or showed any regret for their actions. They had done what loyalty demanded. Now they would accept the consequences with unwavering dignity. After 7 weeks of deliberation, the shogun reached his decision. The 47 Ronin would be allowed to commit seppuku rather than face execution as common criminals. They would die with their honor intact, as befitting samurai who had followed the path of loyalty to its ultimate conclusion. On February 4th, 1703, the 47 Ronin were divided into 4 groups and dispatched to different daimyo mansions. Oishi was the last to perform the ritual. Before taking up the blade, he composed a final poem. The cherry blossoms fall in the shadow of the keep. Life is as brief as the morning dew. By nightfall, it was finished. The 47 loyal retainers were buried alongside their master at Sengaku-ji Temple, where their graves remain to this day. But their story was just beginning. The tale of the 47 Ronin became known as Chushingura, the treasury of loyal retainers, and took on a life of its own. It was retold in kabuki plays, bunraku puppet theaters, woodblock prints, and countless books. Each new generation found something meaningful in their story, interpreting it through the lens of their own times and values. As Japan opened to the West in the late 19th century, their story captured the imagination of foreign writers and artists. It inspired novels, films, and plays around the world, each offering its own interpretation of this uniquely Japanese tale. Even today, more than 3 centuries later, the legacy of the 47 Ronin continues to resonate. Every year, thousands of visitors make pilgrimages to Sengaku-ji Temple to pay their respects. They light incense at the graves and pour water on the stones, contemplating questions that seem as relevant now as they were in 1703. What does it mean to be loyal? How do we balance duty with justice? What principles are worth dying for? The well where the Ronin washed Kira's head still stands at Sengaku-ji Temple. The water still flows, cool and clear as it was on that winter morning in 1703. And in choosing death, they achieved a kind of immortality. Their story continues to challenge and inspire us to this day, asking each new generation to consider what principles they would die for and what marks they hope to leave on the world. Thank you for watching this exploration of one of Japan's most enduring legends. If you enjoyed learning about the 47 Ronin, please consider subscribing to our channel for more fascinating stories from Japanese history and culture. Don't forget to like this video and share it with others who might be interested in this remarkable tale of loyalty, honor, and sacrifice. Until next time, sayonara.